I'm not really a Tom Cruise fan, and I know about him behind the scenes, you know, telling old friends and stuff, I won't be your friend anymore unless you join Scientology. But that separately, the directors and the writers who wrote it together, Joseph Kosinski and Arvid Nelson, most of the reviews out there, in fact, I printed off some of them right here, come out and say that, you know, Oblivion occupies an awkward no man's land between escapist space adventure and heavy science fiction, but it's neither thrilling enough nor intellectually stimulating enough to satisfy devotees of either. That's NPR. Coming from the Black Pyramid, that's what I'd expect it to say. New York Post, Oblivion is one of those movies in which the main source of interest is simply in figuring out what's actually going on, though when you do, your reaction is bound to be a shrug. It's pleasantly complicated, head-spinning plot based on the director Joseph Kosinski's graphic novel is asking a little too much. Was Cruise trying to beat out fellow Scientologist John Travolta for the honor of starring in the dumbest sci-fi epic ever? I mean, folks, almost all the reviews are incredibly negative concerning Oblivion. And what I'm going to do is, because I recorded a bunch of points last night and this morning that I wanted to write down, and I only got to like one of the sheets. And we're just running out of time here. I got too much important news to cover. This movie just absolutely, and I don't just say this, I mean, I study what the globalists write and say to the point of just not even knowing what to do anymore. I mean, their open criminal operation against us is so diabolical, so public, so disgusting, so crazy. We're living in a science fiction movie. And what do you think devil worshippers would do with a bunch of high technology? They'd try to exterminate the majority of the public, merge with machines to become gods. That's it. And that's the reason you see this in so many science fiction films and so many things, is that is what they're into. That's what they believe. But usually it's done from a two-sided position like The Matrix and the Wachowski brothers. This film and the two gentlemen that wrote it that have only been in Hollywood about 6-7 years and done a lot of really impressive work, it's their graphic talent that brought them to the point of being able to put out their first major film, and it's a tour de force. It is a anti-Illuminati tour de force. And people just do not get the archetypes. I mean, I remember when Episode 3 came out, Revenge of the Sith, which, you know, those are cheesy movies for children. You know, I'm more a fan of the cheesy dialogue, you know, kind of like I'm a fan of Airplane. You know, it's not like I'm saying it's some great thing. It's just that the archetypes in it are important, though, even in something like Airplane. You know, from a comedy perspective, the archetypes in Episode 3 are the best of all the films. This senator has become the head of the Senate by staging terror attacks on himself. And then he uses the police state to wipe out the Jedi and end the Republic. And then I saw the film and couldn't believe it. And then Lucas came out and talked about it and said, this is what's really going on with 9/11. Obviously a 9/11 truther. You say what you want about Lucas. You know, he's a big fan of THX 1138. Well, he made THX 1138. That's kind of a remake adaptation of Brave New World, which is actually a real transhumanist globalist plan, 1932, Aldous Huxley, carried out by the main head of the World Eugenics Society, Julian Huxley, his brother, to later be the head of the United Nations UNESCO program, which is the real head of the UN. That's the Eugenics Department for World Standardization for Agenda 21 projects. So exhausting, you know. I mean, it's just like, I start talking about this and thousands of data points open up as the frustration. So they believe that they're going to become God men. They believe they're setting all this up, and they're following 1850s is when this was hatched, so 160 plus years. They are following a program hatched by Galton, spun off from Malthus, Sir Malthus, and picked up then kind of in the age of science fiction, projecting with the Fabian socialist what could be possible. And then what man imagines, man can later build. And they've come to the consensus, as so many of their writers have talked about. I talk about Why the Future Doesn't Need Us a lot in Wired Magazine, April 2000, Bill Joy. I've talked about it hundreds of times because you can go read that. He goes to a globalist conference. There's 200 top tech people there. They have a discussion. Do we kill everybody? That's better for the earth. Or do we let people just play video games all day and become fat blobs like Wall-E? You know, where it's a computerized system taking care of people that can't even walk. And that's where it's going. No, they're not going to put you in the trance state so you can drink pina coladas on the deck of a Star Cruiser. They're already killing us. The decision has been made. And they're going towards a hotter program. And by a hotter program, a faster program. And I know I just keep like an emergency beacon going, emergency, emergency, emergency. To the point of I just can't be around people who don't take this serious anymore. And you know what? I could become really aggressive, too, and everything, because I'm in combat, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm right. And it is so exhausting to care about humanity, to care about you and your family, to care about you and your children, because I just want survival. I mean, I'm right about this. And you have to make the decision to research it so you know what's going on. Everyone I know all over the country has been sick for a year. I have seen more sickness in people I know and people in town, everyone they know, in the last 8 months. And it's same. And there's numbers out. I've got numbers out. The deaths, the obesity, the sickness, the allergies, they're killing us. Exactly what you see. First generation rodents fed one GMO crop. Every GMO crop does this. That's cross species. Or, well, they're all cross species that produce their own poison. I mean, you know. Let me explain something. If bees can't eat the pollen off a corn plant because it kills them because it grows its own pesticide, but you're supposed to be able to eat that, I mean, most of our livers are the size of baby stingrays right now. I mean, we are under mega attack, ladies and gentlemen, and I am just a desperate, primitive human. And by primitive, that's more advanced than what we are now. I'm just a primitive person with life force directives that is just sitting here going, oh, my God, they're openly admitting this whole program. And then I see something like Oblivion that the more I mean, just every 30 seconds was a different archetype message, and it was all positive. And it was about rebirth and regeneration and, you know, the children, but also in the genetics, there being memories, which has been proven, and the cold-blooded psychopath system versus love and the soul, and how compartmentalization is used to control everybody. And it is just beyond insane. And I just feel an overriding responsibility to try to stop this. I mean, I can hardly be around my children because they're so innocent, they're so good, and it doesn't even make me angry when I think about the New World Order now. It is so evil. And most of the people that are part of it are just egomaniacs on power trips. And I think about how the technocrats have done this through compartmentalization, through testing, and they're able to see what people do in local departments to then promote them to state and then federal, then international. And when you get to the top of the pyramid, they just write books about us talking about how we're animals they're going to kill. And then I even talk to yuppies, and they go, yeah, we are dumb, ugly animals. Humanity's ugly and dumb, and we need to die. And I said, but if I right now tried to kill you, you would fight for your life and call the police. And they don't even know what to say. They're like, I say this to people, like, are you threatening me? And I go, don't be an intellectual dimwit. You're supposed to be this big, smart liberal who's really an authoritarian. You know, you just said we all need to die, but you're going to fight if I attack you, right? Well, of course I am. And I go, well, then why have you bought into something? You don't just say you're part of this and then not really be part of it. Plus, you're not part of it. I mean, how many times, how many different ways do I have to say this to you? I mean, the globalists are opening the borders up to the entire collapsed world that they have collapsed with their policies, bringing in people with no history of freedom to say you get your freedom by bringing down the Second Amendment. That is taught now as a sacrament to Latin Americans coming in, that you're going to have your victory over the gringos when you get their guns. When it should be, hey, if you want to come to America, that's one thing. The government isn't your friend. You deserve guns. You deserve freedom. But they're tying their rebellion and their liberty to taking everybody's guns, and America being like Mexico or Nigeria. Just like they're tying USA, America to having your hands up at your house and being treated like a slave and having the cops, you know, slam your wife up against the wall just so they could exercise power and basically plant the flag on Boston. You see, the new civil right is giving up all your liberties. The new civil right is being a slave. People can be taught to love their servitude, as Aldous Huxley said in 1962 at Berkeley. And they have been. And it's just disgusting. You're taught to be a totally domesticated jellyfish who can't even play with a water gun, or your dad has his guns taken when there's not even a law. They just do it. That's called martial law. But then the police can come around and come to your door, and you open it, and they point guns at you and shove you up against the wall when you're a black guy or you're a blonde guy. I watched countless videos of somebody go out to their car to get something, and the cops would run up and shove them up against the deal, and the guy would go like, hey, obviously look nothing like the suspect, and the cop would slam their head into the car. It's just a police riot. People driving around who've always wanted to beat everybody up, now they can come into everybody's neighborhood and do it. Mentally ill people. Mentally ill. Mentally ill. They never get tired of dominating people. They never get tired of bullying people. They never get tired. They never get tired. They never get tired. And that's what this is all about. It's about turning loose every nobody and giving them government power to make us their slaves. And again, I'll add the proviso, not all police are bad. No. But in areas where they've got control, they can get away with anything. And they are getting away. And then Bloomberg, an obvious craven scumbag, running around saying we got to get rid of the Constitution to keep you safe. The Constitution is what has produced any bit of liberty we have, where a man just can't be disappeared because the emperor says, take him away. Now let's go to this clip of Janet Napolitano being asked by Senator Ted Cruz. I got to say, Ted Cruz was even ready to come on this show when he was running for Senate, and I didn't like some of the things he did in state government. So even though I hated the guy he was running against, I didn't have him on. We interviewed him at the Capitol, so it was on the nightly news. But I tell you, I'm as impressed with what he's been doing as I've been with Rand Paul. I mean, I just try to get Ted Cruz on. He's probably too good for us now. I'm joking, as people will say, don't go on the Radical show. I was trying to get Rand Paul back. I know Ron Paul's on. I think what Ron Paul's on Thursday. But I'm really impressed with Ted Cruz. And let's go ahead and see if Janet's read the 800-page bill. Here it is.
My office received the text of this bill at 2:25 a.m. on Wednesday, April 17th, 5 days ago. The bill is 844 pages long. It is dealing with a very complicated topic. And my first question is, when did your office receive a copy of the bill as filed?
About 3 o'clock in the morning. I think that's about right.
In the 5 days since then, when you have obviously been heavily focused on matters such as the Boston bombing, and quite properly focused on matters such as that, have you had the time to read all 844 pages of the bill?
Actually, I have read the bill. I know many sections of the bill fairly well, so I was able to skim those sections, but I have been able to review the bill, yes, sir.
Well, okay, then that has been a busy weekend for you.
Total bull.
Yes, sir. Very busy.
Oh, yes. I bet it was busy with the stuff that goes on at your house. I bet. Oh, we know what happens to the men at your office. I mean, what a monster. Total witchy-poo lies. Yeah, and that bill's 300 something with hundreds of pages of supplementals. We have to go read the code. It's the SOPA that was 800 plus that people had a couple hours to read. Yes, sir, I did read that. Thank you, Mr. Napolitano. Thank you for the... I'm not making fun of women that look like men. It's just that why do all the women in the federal government need to look like women that look like men? I mean, is it like... maybe she's an alien. Maybe Janet Reno and her, like an alien spacecraft, came to Earth, kidnapped some people, you know, with the teleporter beams, and then just kind of made 2 or 3 models. And maybe it's like Mars Attack, but it's not like a hot blonde that comes to the White House. You unzip, you know, the green alien puts on like an outfit, and there's kind of like 2 or 3 sizes, and it's a woman with a deep voice with a short haircut with a white splash in it or something. And then the aliens like to make, you know, men do weird sexual stuff at the White House, I mean, at the Justice Department, and they make men stay in the toilet and scream at them and yell at them all day and run around on power trips while taking copious amounts of testosterone. I mean, might as well be an alien. I mean, I want to know, you can't get in the federal government now unless you look and act like Janet Napolitano? I mean, I want to know. Yes, sir, I did read that. I mean, you know what? I think she's an imposter. I say the head of Homeland Security is from planet Pop-Tart, and that it came here in the Tet. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Your calls coming up, and more news straight ahead. Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv. This is reality-based radio.
Jakari Jackson here, and I want to talk to you for a second about water. You know about ProPure, our flagship water purification system, but check out some of our portable water filter products at InfoWarsStore.com. The clearly filtered water pitcher. Also, for those of you on the go, we have the Athlete Edition filtered water bottle and the RAD Eliminator Pro filtered sports bottle that removes radiation. And keep in mind, we have replacement filters for all of these products. The ever-popular grab-and-go bag favorite, the Life Straw, the Crystal Quest shower filter system, and the Aquapod kit, great for mass storage of water. And while you're at the InfoWars shop, pick up a copy of our latest book, 31 Days to Survival. You can find all this and more at the InfoWarsStore.com, and don't forget it's your support that funds our operation. Sign up for our free newsletter at InfoWars.com/newsletter.
You know, my issue is this. I know staged media events when I see it. I know when they're pushing something, and I mean, that's obvious. You know it too. And I just know the globalists are a bunch of horrible criminals that need to be bound down by the Constitution, as the founders said. And I know that all of the good of this country is bleeding out. And again, it makes me upset. Now, other people are like, oh, take it easy. Well, that's the attitude that slaves have. There are a lot of countries where people say, hey, take it easy, and they're slaves. So if you don't like aggressive men that get angry about becoming slaves, you don't want to be an American. That's what it comes down to. There's breaking news at Infowars.com. Bunch of breaking news. I said I'd go to calls. Let's go to Clint. No, who's been on the longest? Marty in Mass. You're on the air. Go ahead, listening on XM 166.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, bro.
Hey, what's up? Keep on the Patriot. And I got to say that I just heard you briefly said, I just heard the Congress, their wife, contract to spy on the American people. And the liberal left maybe do the same thing, and she goes on XM 168. Have you heard of Randy Rhodes? She might be doing the same thing, spy on the individual.
Well, I mean, they use computers to do it. Yeah, there's a bunch of members of Congress whose wives and husbands, and David Knight listed some the other day in a report, where companies they head up get, you know, in one case, $10 billion contract. And then who knows what they'll get out of that? Probably, you know, 50 million, 100 million, who knows? But it's usually, you know, those type of numbers. I mean, yeah, again, insider trading. They passed a law saying they could insider trade, so they passed another law saying, well, if we get a waiver, we can, from their own ethics committee. And then the head of the ethics committee's wife is involved in this stuff. And then now they got another law passed getting rid of that, so they're back to insider trading. I mean, they do stuff, let's not exaggerate, 5,000 times. I mean, just infinitely bigger than what Martha Stewart did. and they don't go to jail. That's what I mean. I mean, they're crooks. They've gotten away with everything. And now we're wondering why they're getting away with even more. Because Thomas Jefferson said the level of tyranny you will live under is the exact amount you will accept. That's a Thomas Jefferson quote. And that's exactly true. God bless you. I appreciate your call. Jim in Arkansas, you're on the air, sir.
Alex, been listening to you since 15 years ago when we get you on shortwave only. It's great to talk to you. I got a few things I'll go through real quick, and if you would maybe comment on some of them. I noticed on the Texas explosion down there, the first word I heard of it, the BATF, was already there to get to the bottom of that.
Well, they got to the bottom of Fast and Furious in Oklahoma City. Bless their little hearts.
When I saw it, I thought, well, we'll get the truth out of that pretty quick. And then the other thing that's bothered me for quite some time about the...
By the way, I don't know how I do it. I said this guy's a patsy mailing the poison, the ricin, and I said, watch, they'll arrest 2 or 3 more by the time they're done, and that's now happened. I mean, look, they follow handbooks. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's scripted.
Yeah, it's all scripted.
The other thing is, I've given all my Constitution booklets away that I got from you, but doesn't the Constitution allow for the Congress to mark people, which is in other words, it takes an act of Congress to designate someone an enemy of the state and to deal with them. Isn't that included in the Constitution?
Yes.
It's a wonderful document.
And instead, they've handed that authority over to the bureaucracy, which they're not allowed to do. You can't do that. You can't, number one, you have to have a constitutional convention to do that, okay? They can't just pass a law doing that. It's unconstitutional. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. Over the weekend, I shot a video called Black Butterflies Lie, and people thought I was smoking marijuana because it was 420. No, I didn't smoke any marijuana. Or they think I'm drunk. No, I had nothing to drink. Though I think I went inside and had 1 glass of wine after this. It's called poetry that came to mind very quickly, where we were burning a piece of old furniture that we found down in the gully that I guess the last owner of my house, little farmhouse, had. It was a rotten piece of furniture. So we made a little fire out in the backyard and burned it and some other stuff. As the kids wanted to make a fire outside, it was a real pretty spring day, and it had just been raining the day before, so it was safe to have a fire. It's been so dry. And my son found a big piece of cardboard that had blown off the road over the barbed wire fence into the yard. And he said, can I throw this on? And I said, yeah, burn it. And it created all these little black pieces that you see go up in the sky, but they're like butterflies. So I shot a quick iPhone saying, oh, black butterflies, the government says so. And then I cut to the fact that it's really soot out of the fire. And people are in there not even understanding what I'm saying. Some do. And it's such a pure, easy to understand allegory or analogy. I mean, come on. And some people don't get, I mean, it really makes me wonder sometimes. People don't get a video I shot last night driving home at about 7. Well, I was driving to meet my dad to watch Oblivion, called Who Says the Stars Only Come Out at Night? And I shot that on my iPhone because it was so yellow. The sky, the camera didn't pick it up, made it more blue. The whole sky was like yellow and orange, and it looked just really space-agey. So I shot a video of it just because I think stuff's really cool and pretty, and people don't get what that means. I mean, I just like, what is going on out there? I mean, I just don't understand anymore. Because again, I don't think of myself as that smart. And I mean, I'm like light years ahead of the general public. And I think it's up to us that know how things really work to a certain extent to help the cynical, arrogant, dumb people. Another thing is how arrogant, dumb idiots are. I was about to say dumbasses, but I guess I did. Let's take another call. Chris in Virginia, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you, Alex?
I'm all right, brother. How you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. Hey, I just wanted to ask you if you had gotten a chance to look at the inconsistencies between the Cambridge report that was posted on the Wall Street Journal and then the FBI indictment in terms of the carjacking.
I mean, there's a ton of inconsistencies and weirdness and things. I mean, the whole story is just a disaster zone and clearly is some type of staged event with these guys working for intelligence and having aliases and definitely the older brother. I mean, he was definitely McVeigh or Lee Harvey Oswald. We don't know all the particulars. We just know the pre-build-up, the way they handled it after. This was a scripted event. They bare minimum knew and let it happen. Bare minimum.
Absolutely. And the Cambridge report actually states that the younger brother, the two brothers were together in a Honda Civic, and one of them approached the door to the Mercedes and tapped on the window. The FBI report says that only one brother went into the Mercedes and then picked up the second brother, drove across town to pick up the second brother.
Well, listen, here's the deal. A lot of times they don't know what happened right away, so that's one reason stories get changed. But, you know, they said we're going to burn Dorner down, then they do it and say we didn't mean that. This is congenital lying. I mean, the Delta Force killed the Branch Davidians under orders. They protested it but followed orders they shouldn't have. And that even came out in Congress. The average person doesn't even know that because they're so dumbed down. The people perish for lack of knowledge. And bottom line, get back to the Bill of Rights, Constitution, due process, checks and balances, and then they can't overrun us. Cut government, cut taxes, kick globalists out, abolish the Federal Reserve. There are the solutions. Great call. God bless you, Chris. All right, I got to go. For Clint, Bill, and Robert, I apologize to you. And I'm always frustrated with myself because I want to get to all this news. I get overheated. I start ranting and raving. And then by the nighttime show, I get a little bit more focused when I'm burnt out. But thanks for putting up with me. Nightly news tonight, 7 o'clock Central. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?